Hi, this is Les Levine, the self-proclaimed voice of truth and reason in Ohio sports. If you were a fan of a team in the NFL and that team rarely beat their rival, consider this. That team has had 7 coaches and 7 GMs over the past 7 years and had a coaching search committee consisting of the owner, his wife, his son-in-law, and a baseball stats guy who happens to live in California. And your team is 2 seasons away from just 1 win and 31 losses. You would think you had a pretty good chance to catch up with them, right? Except in this case, it's your team, and unless you got lucky, nothing's going to change for the better. Welcome to Jimmy Haslam's NFL Reality. Bud Shaw is here. More Sports and Les-Levine is on the air. From the worldwide headquarters of More Sports and Les-Levine, it's a Tuesday night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome once again to More Sports and Les-Levine into its 24th consecutive year, seen exclusively on cleveland.com. Bud Shaw is here. Did I say it's some day other than Thursday? Maybe.
I wasn't paying any attention. You know that. You know better than to ask me.
We're on the same page then. Bud Shaw here, WKYC.com is where you can find him in addition to our show, normally on Tuesday nights. So this Tuesday must be Belgium.
Yeah, and if it's early in a calendar year,
what does that mean?
We're probably talking about a new head coach. This is where we were last year.
You know,
This is where we were this week last year, talking about what they were going to do with a head coach.
We have been talking about this for a long time, how things just kind of happen in Cleveland. You know, I just did a show Thursday night here, and look what's happened since Thursday night.
Yeah, you know. As everyone knows, Jimmy Haslam had his press conference today in which you could have rerun the tape from the Rob Chudzinski firing, the Joe Banner change, the Mike Lombardi change, the Mike Pettin firing, the Ray Farmer change, the Sashi Brown hiring. Am I missing anything?
No, but you must have been listening into the show prep meeting that we had where we said we're going to play Name That Firing.
Now, you could easily do that, yeah. And what you'll hear is, we are more determined than ever to get it right. And he said that every time. They come no closer to getting it right. And I think maybe it's because they don't stick with anything that they actually have.
Well, he had an answer for that. It's as if it's the wrong guy, you don't want to stay with him.
There you go.
Which is true, but if you don't know who the wrong guy is.
Well, they certainly don't, and I guess that's part of the...
Yes, they do. Whoever they hire is the wrong guy.
Even if you would argue that John Dorsey probably needed to go because he didn't want to work under the new alignment or have his responsibilities reduced in any way, that's not on Dorsey in my mind. That's on Jimmy Haslam, who a year ago had full trust that a football man was going to be able to run the organization. And to hear him say today, Les, what struck me today, when he said that he talked with he and JW, the son-in-law, talked with 25 or 30 players or whatever it was. That's exactly the problem with Jimmy Haslam, is that he talks to too many people. Why would you need to do that? Come on.
Do you believe that he did?
No. I guess I have to take him at his word.
I find it hard to believe.
But a guy who has taken so much grief for saying that a homeless guy told him to draft Baker or Johnny Manziel, would you think he would watch what he's saying a little more? Because that sounds crazy to me. What do you need to talk to that? There should be a small group of players that you consider your veterans and the most trustworthy guys on the team that you'd want to talk to if you were trying to figure out whether Freddie-Kitchens was the right guy or not. I'm not even sure you had to talk to anybody to know the answer to that.
I have sources, as you know.
You do.
And one of them told me what the conversation went like in the locker room today.
Okay. All right.
Jimmy Haslam walked into the locker room and said, "Hey, Scottish Hammer, I need to see you for a minute." You think he calls him Scott, or what do you think?
I have no idea what's happening there. And I just... listen, I understand that it's not easy to find people to run your organization and to turn it into perennial winner. But How do you fall in and out of love so quickly with people?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. This segment of More Sports and Less-Levine brought to you by the Ohio Lottery. Before we get into your opening comment, I just want to mention something. You know, there's an old wives' tale or something about how things happen in threes and all that. David Stern passed away over the weekend. Sam Weish, most famous here in Cleveland for saying, hey, you don't live in Cleveland.
Yeah.
He passed away at the age, I believe, of 74. And then the only perfect game in World Series history, Don Larson, passed away. So that's three. That's enough. As far as
I saw all those. You know, I know Sam Weish had been fighting cancer for quite some time, and you know, the one of the stories that people, I don't know if they remember or not about that. After he said what he said, he came to Cleveland and
raised some money
in a dunk tank because he knew that everybody was upset with him. So
well,
everybody around the league talks about him as being a really interesting guy and a really nice guy.
You also understand that when somebody does that, if it's your team, it's, hey, that's funny stuff. When it's against you, it's not so funny.
Sure, yeah, for sure.
All right, let's get going. You have an opening comment, I believe. Here's Bud Shaw.
Well, here we go, Les. You know, it's fair to ask what the plan in Berea is these days, and if Jimmy and dee-haslam have a ready answer for that, and I suspect they don't, by the way, it's even more fair to ask how long will they stick with it? A draft or two? One head coach hire? What will it be next time? I mean, not long ago, Paul DePodesta and Sashi Brown were the answer to the Browns' troubles, until they weren't. Then John Dorsey, Alonzo Highsmith, and Elliott Wolf brought strong talent evaluation to the front office. Just not for long. You can find reasons to criticize Dorsey's decisions, especially the hiring of Kitchens, just as you could find reasons to doubt Sashi Brown and his tear-it-down-to-the-studs approach. Would the Browns be further along if they'd stuck with Sashi and just fired Hugh Jackson? Would they be further along if they'd given Dorsey a second coach hire? With the Browns, it all comes back to the same question. What do the Haslams believe in next? And for how long?
You know, while you were ad-libbing that, a thought came to mind. Do you think that Dorsey, in choosing Freddie-Kitchens, thought there was so much talent or enough talent on this team that they can have a winning season and maybe contend, and then he gets the credit for finding this guy out of the middle of nowhere?
Well, I don't know if it was credit he was looking for, but I do think you're right that he thought there was enough talent here to kind of gloss over the learning, the growing pains that any rookie head coach goes through. But it was so bad that I think Kitchens brought the talent down on the team. Now, I think there's a little bit, the Sashi group, of which you're going to have one of the main Sashi proponents on Monday night, my good friend Doug LeMaurice.
Right.
The Sashi group will say, oh, no, this is all on Dorsey. This wasn't Haslam's fault. Dorsey just he had all of this capital to work with. He had all these draft picks, all this cap money, and he failed. All I'll say is that he picked the wrong head coach, okay? Yeah. And that's no small thing, but I'd feel better about this organization if Dorsey was making the talent evaluations in the organization than I would this unknown that we're going to have now with three different guys reporting to the owner.
Yeah. Not only is it three different guys, the order in which they'll be hired is somewhat strange to me. I would think the GM should be the guy hiring the head coach, or at least stamping his approval on it.
Well, if you're going to give a GM final say on the 53-man roster, you're putting him in a position of power. Well, what Haslam's doing, he's willing to do that, yet he's going to have the head coach have input into the GM. I mean, we've seen this happen when Mangini took the job, and Randy Lerner leaned on Mangini to bring in his guy, and it turned out to be Kokinis, and in that case, it was a disaster. Now, maybe the structure didn't make it a disaster. In Kansas City, Andy Reid was hired before John Dorsey was hired. So Dorsey came in as Reid's, not handpicked, but a guy that Reid wanted in the building as his talent evaluator. So it can work if it falls into place. I'm just wondering if you're Josh-McDaniels, for instance, and I don't know if he's considered the front runner or not, but you've seen it work in New England in a certain way. Why would you come here after not being a head coach for 11 years or 10 years or whatever it was when he left Denver and turning jobs down all along the way? why would you come here and have it be a different setup? Why would you come here if Paul DePodesta has the owner's ear, and so does the GM, and you have 1/3 of the owner's ear? I don't quite understand what they're going for with this alignment. And if they're going to trot it out there as this bright new shiny alignment, perfect alignment, well, I thought you had that when you had Kitchens and Dorsey. So I don't, but what you had then was DePodesta still in charge and the analytics still having Haslam's ear.
I never understood DePodesta living in California, doing this on Skype or whatever he was doing it on. It just never made sense.
Well, and this is how they're using him right now. Maybe they'll prove to us that once this process of hiring a new coach is over, maybe DePodesta goes off into the sunset. But I have a feeling that his stature in the organization seems to be growing, not diminishing. And if I'm Josh McDaniels, I have some concerns about that. And in some of these other guys, maybe Mike McCarthy has similar concerns.
You can follow us on Facebook, facebook.com/more-sports-and-les-levine, with new content posted each and every day. When we come back, Jimmy Haslam spoke to the media today at 2 o'clock. He rambled a little bit, but we'll see if you can gain anything from what he said. More Sports and Les Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a 4-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students kindergarten through 12th grade can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
I'll say this, we're really excited about the group of candidates that we're going to be interviewing over the next several days, and I think maybe despite all the changes we've made, I think it's a very attractive job. Everybody in the NFL knows how important football is in this area. I think everybody understands we have a really good young quarterback and a really good core group of players, so we're excited about the opportunity to work with these candidates over the next week or two or however long it takes.
So how's Coach McCarthy doing today, and is NFL head coaching experience a prerequisite?
I think it'd be unfair to coach, to say, but obviously he's got great experience. He's won 62% of his games, and that speaks for himself. So we've really enjoyed our time with him, and head coaching experience is not necessarily a prerequisite. If you'll notice, we're interviewing people who have been head coaches in the NFL and people who are not.
Jimmy, is Urban-Meyer a candidate?
Right now, we're just focusing on people with NFL experience. So we're going to hire the GM first, and then we'll do the coach first, then we'll do the GM search. The coach will be involved in that process, will not have the final say, okay, will not have the final say, but we'll be heavily involved in that process. So in your all's terms, we will not have an arranged marriage, okay? Then, let me just continue on because I think I know what you're going to ask. The coach and the GM will report to ownership as equals and obviously married up with each other. If you look over the last couple of years, I think the first thing you have to do is really understand the players in place. And it's really important to know your own team. And everybody looks at who we add And I think it's really important also to look at who we subtract. And don't get me wrong, there could be some changes in the roster, but we have a pretty solid group of core players who are all extremely young.
All right, first of all, I got that shirt at Costco last week. You have,
They have some good ones,
yeah,
including this. Yeah.
No question about it. $15.95. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. All right, your reaction to Jimmy Haslam's press conference. I thought it sounded like a Freudian slip where he said we're going to hire the general manager first, then the coach. He says, oh, no, wait a minute, and he reversed it.
Yeah,
I don't think even he believed it.
Well, I'm not even sure. It won't be an arranged marriage, but the coach won't have final say over who the GM is. But Elliot Wolf is still there, and he ostensibly would be part of an arranged marriage with whoever the new GM is, unless he's only there for this week because they haven't figured out what they're doing. You know, I just think there's still moving parts in this, and he's not even sure how this is going to play out.
Mike McCarthy is here, by all accounts, was here today, right? Mm-hmm. And so supposedly they've got a meeting tonight somewhere else. And then they're sending half of the management team out to San Francisco because San Francisco is still playing. How are you gonna decide on a guy if you don't have the full committee there?
Well, I don't know. I didn't know who was involved in the travel plans. You know, it may be as long as Haslam, DePodesta are involved in each of the meetings.
Didn't sound like they were, but
yeah, it's really hard to tell. I mean, and also now they're talking to guys like Greg Roman, who I don't have anything against Greg Roman, but you know he's been most successful with Kaepernick and Lamar Jackson type style quarterbacks. You would think that the way they talk about Baker-Mayfield, Jimmy Haslam said that that Baker-Mayfield had a remarkable season based on everything they asked him to do this year. I mean,
they might not have asked much.
Well, I didn't see a remarkable season out of him, but you would that comment leads me to believe, Les, that any coach who comes in there is going to have to embrace Baker-Mayfield or they're not going to get hired. And now, I'm not saying that's the wrong approach,
right?
But I don't know where a Greg Roman Baker-Mayfield arrangement, how that would work.
In fact, I would think that's one of the keys to whether the guy accepts the jobs. He said, what do you mean? I got to go with Baker-Mayfield no matter what? Yeah, he was our #1 pick. We're not going to undo that.
And I'm sure. And we know that from previous interviews, I think that Josh-McDaniels thought very highly of Baker-Mayfield when Mayfield was coming out of college. Maybe this is all pointing toward Josh-McDaniels, and he'll walk in here and say, I don't need total control of the roster. But
hard to believe when he's seen what he's seen in New England.
Yeah, and I still think he would have some issues with knowing that there are other voices in the owner's ear that could affect his status in the organization.
We have heard more today about Paul DePodesta than maybe in all the last 2 seasons. So other than Moneyball, what do we know about this guy? We've got some graphics to put up, and we'll take a look at it. What do you think right there, Bud?
Yeah, I mean, Chief Strategy Officer has never lived here that we know of. I mean, he may spend some chunks of time here. I would imagine during a coaching search he would. He was the guy played by Jonah Hill in Moneyball. I'm sure he's not too flattered by that. Dodgers GM for 2 years. You know, he's got the reputation of being a guy who is great with processes and not so great with people.
Where does it say anything about football success?
Yeah. Hey, he's the guy that when he got hired here, he told Jimmy Haslam, you know, this is a roller coaster ride, and once the ride starts, you can't ask to get off. You know, we're going to plummet to some depths here, and that's exactly what they did.
He's the guy who wanted Kevin Stefanski, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's what we think, right? I mean, I've never heard him questioned and had him answer those, but we're told now that Sean McDermott, he was a proponent of Sean McDermott when Hugh Jackson was hired, and that that part of the building, the analytics part of the building, insisted, I guess, on Kevin Stefanski being a finalist and being brought in for a second interview. And I know at least from talking to people that didn't go over particularly well with Dorsey, and and Highsmith, who felt that that should have been their call and they should have decided who the finalists were.
I'm just wondering, when all these guys with NFL experience and they look at the list of interviewees or interviewers, and you see Elliott Wolf is really the only one with any NFL experience, and he was number 3 on the food chain here, they got to say, who's making this call here?
Yeah, I think there are certainly going to be questions, and we know that some of these top candidates are going to be guys that are interviewing in other places. New York, Carolina, maybe Dallas, although that has a whole different
I think that's all about waiting till his contract is up in a couple of days, and then you can move on. Otherwise, you got to pay him out if you fire him even 5 days before the contract runs out.
Yeah, I mean, if you go down, like, that's an attractive job because it's the Cowboys, but, you know,
it's Jerry Jones.
If you think that people coming here to interview would have questions about the organizational hierarchy, can you imagine going in there and knowing that Jerry Jones still wants to be the GM?
216-575-0403 is the number to call. You can email us during the show at real-les-levine@gmail.com. I'll be on 92.3 The Fan tomorrow with Andy Baskin. That'll be from 10 until 2 on 92.3 The Fan. Northeast Factory Direct, 3 great locations plus the website. Check them out. You see you see east and west as well as to the south. South, of course, is right there in Macedonia, the new one on Freeway Drive. You've got Lakeland Boulevard in Euclid and West 140th Street on the west side of town. And of course, you can go to, before you go to any of the stores, I'd suggest going to northeastfactorydirect.com to find out more information. We'll come back in a moment. Coming up, it's the latest on the coaching search. We have these files just kept over from year to year, and then we just plug them in, bud.
I'm not surprised.
Don't have to remake them. Back in a moment. More sports and less Levine, seen exclusively on cleveland.com.
Get your basement ready for the holidays.
There was moisture in the basement. It ruined the carpeting. The smell was terrible. We didn't feel safe in our own basement, and that's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. For a limited time, get Nature Stone installed now and pay nothing until next year. Payments as low as $99 a month. No interest, no down payment. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
National Holidays expert Mary here with a list of holidays you won't want to miss. Get your Ohio Lottery Merry Million scratch-offs for National Donut Day, National Have a Party with Your Bear Day, Pickle Day, National Unique Talent Day, Take a Hike Day, and America's favorite, National Jukebox Day. Every day is a reason to celebrate. Grab a Merry Millions and other Ohio Lottery holiday scratch-offs today.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget. Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just the mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
This portion of More Sports and Less Levine brought to you by Tri-C. All right, here's time for a How Come Quickie. And we take a look at that tonight. How come Joe Namath was soon to become Broadway Joe, but he'd never been to the Bedford Auto
Mile?
Yeah. How could they name him that if he'd never been there?
Yeah,
It's a Joe Namath theme tonight
It's
on
a
this
Joe Namath.
date. We'll get that in this date in sports history a little bit later. Let's take a look at some of the coaching staff as we know it, or the leaders in the clubhouse. And there's a whole bunch, at least, 10 people maybe?
Yeah, Mike-McCarthy, we know he's won 60-some% of his games, as Haslam pointed out. The people will say, well, he had Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers.
He should win some
Why
games.
shouldn't he?
Yeah.
And over the last, his previous couple seasons, I think his record was just 500. He was 23
All right, so
and
Greg
23.
Roman, of course, with Baltimore. You got Josh McDaniels, Robert-Saleh, Kevin Stefanski, Brian Daboll, familiar name, Mike Lafleur, Mike McDaniel, and Eric Bieniemy. We have met Bieniemy, and he is us. I think that was a pogo thing.
I think that was a ESPN, the nickname guy. Yeah.
Chris Berman.
Chris Berman.
All right,
Yeah, I
so
think
here
that
you
was a
have
Chris
Greg
Berman.
Roman. What do you think?
Again, he's had success as an offensive coordinator. Would he have learning curve as a head coach? I would say yes, he would.
Let's go to next on the list, Josh McDaniels.
Josh McDaniels' first job in Denver in 2009, started off something like 6-0. Decided when he first set foot in town that he was going to trade Jay Cutler. Cutler found out about it, that they were going to shop him around. That turned that one sour. And he traded 3 draft picks to draft Tim Tebow. So nobody
So he's got that going for him.
Nobody comes to this, I don't think, with a sparkling, spotless record.
Robert-Saleh.
Yeah, I mean, I joke that an organization has had a lot of coaching searches when the candidates all start looking alike. I mean, I've never seen him and Mike Pettin in the same room before, but
wow.
He's a guy who's an interesting candidate, but really has had no experience as a head coach.
And he's a defensive kind of guy, and the NFL is an offensive league right now.
This guy, I would say, is probably going to be at the top of the list. I mean, if last year DePodesta really wanted Stefanski, and now DePodesta is just as powerful or more powerful in the organization, you could see a scenario where they hired Stefanski and bring back Andrew Barry, who is here.
Brian Daboll, a familiar face and name from a couple of years ago on the coaching staff.
Yeah, I really don't know. I've seen Joe Thomas speak very highly of how he held people accountable on the offensive side of the ball, but as we know, it's a bigger job than that.
Mike Lafleur, what do you know about him?
Not really much, other than that he's 32 years old, Les, and he began coaching in the NFL in 2014.
Where did you learn that?
And a coaching intern with the Browns, so it means that if they hire him, we can write those sappy stories about how he used to go get,
coffee,
tuna salad
the
sandwiches
Mangini
for the
theory
media.
that you go hand out press releases.
Yeah.
Did he ever hand one out to you?
I was never there during that time.
He did to me.
Did he?
Yeah.
And I'm sure he bragged about it.
No, I'm sure he forgot about it.
Mike
or would like
McDaniel,
to.
36 years old, Browns wide receiver coach in 2014, running game coordinator. He was a running game coordinator in 2017, but that whole zone run thing that San Francisco does has been a Shanahan's trademark.
If you needed proof that these jobs come and go, you have guys who were here like 2 years ago, we never heard of any of them.
I know. That's why it's just so hard to keep track. But Eric Bieniemy, a lot of people speak very highly of him. I know he's been getting more interviews lately. I think he'll interview at a couple other organizations. And I think he's one of those guys that, if you believe Andy Reid could go from position coach to head coach, then you might convince yourself that he could too.
216-575-0403 is the number to call if you'd like to get in. You can certainly do that. And plenty of candidates. I'm surprised some of these guys haven't dropped out because of the amount of candidates. On the other hand, there's some value to these guys getting an interview just to go through the process.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know that it's like it used to be.
Yeah, there is value to it, and I'm sure, it can only help when these guys go through 2 or 3 of these. And if they don't get a job this year, then it helps them when they go back into the pool again, because there'll be 5 or 6 more jobs open next year.
Word spreads around these owners that say, hey, this guy looked good to us. He wasn't the guy we needed at this point, but he might be he interviewed very well.
These guys come into these interviews with a list of who they would hire as their staff, and they get a pretty good indication from the organizations whether those staffs are impressive or not. So maybe it helps them to juggle those candidates and come back again the next year with a better staff.
Yes and no, because it's not like Jimmy-Haslam has people placed around the NFL world that would be able to tell him what this guy represents.
No, I mean, Banner did. All right,
Yeah.
we know that Banner had a guy.
And Lombardi.
I think, you know, when Wisenhunt came in, Banner wasn't very impressed with his staff for an interview, and you know, it's God. All of this stuff runs together. All of these names. I just can't get over the fact that they're again.
There's a board game there.
It's gotten blown up again. The Haslams don't do small changes. When they decide to go from one direction to another, it's usually a whiplash kind of incident.
Yep, no question about that. Tri-C, you can
Tri-C ranks 10th in the nation in conferring associate degrees in health professions and related sciences.
Excellent.
I didn't know that until
now you know it.
Now I know it.
Go to tri-c.edu for more information. 216-575-0403 is the number to call. Bud Shaw with us. We'll be back Monday. Doug Maurice will be here on Monday.
Doug and I never agree on anything, and I'm sure he's going to take me to task over what I said about him already.
Maybe he should.
He probably should.
Northeast Factory Direct. You know what? We're going to take a break. We're going to come back. Guess what we're going to introduce here for the first time in the
this moment in Les-Levine history?
Well, we're going to actually do...
how come quickies?
I don't know, not quickies. I was thinking, how about mock drafts?
Mock drafts, you? Okay. I didn't see that one coming.
We'll do that and more when we get back. More Sports and Les-Levine, seen exclusively on cleveland.com.
As a kid growing up, my dream was to go to college, play baseball, and get a degree. Coming out of high school, I had two choices. I was accepted into a four-year university, but I decided to come to Tri-C after receiving a scholarship. I got my associate's degree at Tri-C. They transferred all my credits straight into Baldwin-Wallace, so I started at Baldwin-Wallace University as a junior. My name is Tyler Leonard, and I earned my first degree at Tri-C.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
It takes attention to detail. With your local Bryant dealer, you're getting more than just a technician. You're getting someone who pays attention to your needs and the little things that make a big difference. It takes a dealer you can rely on. And to keep your family warm this winter,
here, let me show you how this works.
It takes Bryant.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
And to keep your family comfortable, it takes Smiley One Heating and Cooling. Find them at smiley1.com.
Birthdays for today, there you see the entire list. Greg Swindell seen on the left. I thought he was going to be a terrific pitcher, but back in those days we thought everybody they took was going to be terrific. How about Monday? We had Sandy Koufax, Tiger Woods, and LeBron James.
That's not quite as illustrious as Ryan Garco and Stan Doubt, 1947.
I guess you're correct. Joe Namath on this date signed a contract, $427K for 3 years. That's what, about less than 150 a year, right?
Oh, yeah.
It seemed like unbelievably big money, which it was at the time, no question about that.
Wow.
That's this date in sports history. Let's go to the phones. Let's say hi to BP. BP and Pepper Pike, go ahead.
Hey, guys. How you doing today? Happy New Year.
Same to you.
You too.
Thank you. I was out of town, and on New Year's Eve, walking around the mall and happened to look down at my phone and saw, John Dorsey and the Browns part ways. I was really shocked. I actually had to sit down in the store I was at and just read the article. Of course, it was on the Fans website, and I'm just shocked because a year ago this guy was a saint here in Cleveland. People were walking around saying, in Dorsey we trust, and they
I'm not sure that anything should shock us anymore.
I know, and it's almost like this is really crazy. I mean, this definitely has to be one of the worst sports franchises in the history of sports. I mean, this is really just total mismanagement, and every year it's like Groundhog Day with the Haslams come out and they trot out this stupid new organizational chart, You know, and it's always different, you know?
Yeah.
It's crazy. And
They
I don't
believe
know
in-
who's like, it's almost like they're being led by this Paul DePodesta who's based in La Jolla, California. You know, it's like
Let's see,
every
hold
year
on
they
one
change
second.
their tune and their organizational chart, and if they ran the company like that, they'd be out of business.
Yeah. All right, La Jolla, Cleveland, January, February, and March.
Well,
okay,
yeah,
I
I mean, it probably shows good judgment on his part that he prefers to stay in La Jolla. But no, your point is well taken. I mean, and listen, he's a very bright guy, and a lot of people in baseball thought he was really visionary. And I'm sure he's helped with some of the processes, not just football, but other areas of this company and this business. But
You're not saying that right. It should be football, like how John Dorsey would say. Football.
Yeah, football.
Yeah, football.
I just think, you know, I just think Dorsey clearly made one big mistake, and that was in pushing so hard for Kitchens and insisting that Kitchens was the right guy.
What do you think he saw in him? Because we certainly
Well, I
didn't
think
see
in a
anything.
way you could excuse it by just saying he saw in it a guy who had hit it off with a temperamental, talented quarterback, and he saw a guy that this quarterback trusted. That when they called plays, Baker-Mayfield's performance went way up. When he was an offensive coordinator, suddenly they went 5 games without a sack, I believe. So I think he saw a lot of things that he thought could translate to the development of Baker-Mayfield, and with all this talent, they would win games until Freddie figured out all of the other pieces of being a head coach.
Yeah.
I think Freddie probably lost traction in the organization for a lot of different reasons, not just his play calling.
BP, Happy New Year to you. Thanks for joining us. We appreciate it very much. All right, I said mock draft. I didn't mean that. I mean speculation as to who's going to be there
When they pick at number 10. Yep.
So let's check it out. Andrew Thomas is one. Let's take a look at what Andrew Thomas has to show. He's from Georgia.
Yeah, I think a lot of people feel that they're going to have to go offensive tackle in the draft. I mean, maybe they answer that in free agency, but I would guess they're going to, even if they do answer one of those spots in free agency, they're going to draft another.
These are not named. These are not household names. Jedrick Wills Jr. Let's take a look at him from Alabama. You can't go wrong there, right?
6'5", 320, and what a great hairdo. Earned the starting right tackle job prior to his sophomore year. Blah blah blah. Allowed only 1 sack. Only missed 7 assignments and 714 snaps. That's pretty good. You don't mind going into the film room with that kind of a one-loss record.
Let's go to Tristan Wirfs, see what we have to say about him.
Yeah, very well thought of. It's funny, they're all 6'5", 320.
There's a theme, man.
Yeah, there is a theme. Had played, here's a guy who's played right tackle, so would you be asking a lot for a guy like that to come in and play left tackle? Probably.
Probably. Isaiah Simmons, check him out. He's the Butkus Award winner, top linebacker in the country.
Yeah, linebacker. I don't, it's hard to tell when they make a change like this and you have a new coaching staff come in. Are they going to like Mac Wilson? Are they going to like Taki? It's just really hard to tell.
Let's go back to the phones. Let's go to Bill, who's in North Olmsted. Bill, good evening. Happy New Year to you.
Same to you guys. Although this is not North Olmsted, I'm down in Florida, and it's so nice to see you on cleveland.com. Which
rubbing it in.
I couldn't get you.
Yeah, rubbing it in from Florida, huh?
So I was going to ask you if you're going out to spring training this year.
No, I won't be going. I'm going to have to. I've missed it the last few years now, so I just follow it like everybody else.
Yeah, I missed you. A couple of things. Actually, football, baseball, and football and baseball. I don't understand why they were in such a rush to get rid of Dorsey. It would seem to me that Cleveland would save face a little bit, or Haslam would save face a little bit, if they didn't let both guys go at the same time and just work, since they're hiring the coach first anyhow.
Now, Bill, if you're going to get rid of these guys, you may as well get it as clean as you can do it and as quick as you can do it. It would have festered, and it would have only been a matter of time, and not much time.
Maybe. But just it's another cloud over Cleveland. That's always bothered me in whatever sport we're talking about. We always seem to be a laughing stock of the rest of the country. But
yeah, but then it goes away, and it's not we got our own little nest here. We kind of like it in our misery.
Well, I know you dropped Browns tickets a while ago, didn't you, Les?
I did, about a Johnny Manziel career ago.
Yeah, well, after 28 years, I think this may be my last year for Indian season tickets. I'm really bothered by the fact that we had three really class professional guys in Brantley, Kipnis, and Kluber, and now they're all gone. And I just think that's what's really needed for a mid-market town like Cleveland to have those guys. But I just think that was bad getting rid of Kluber, even if you thought you needed a big-time reliever.
All right, Bill. Go ahead
The other
quickly.
thing I wanted to talk about was the passing of Don Larson. I don't know if you're going to get into that.
Yeah, we
but
talked about
I've
him.
always called you on October 8th.
Yeah, we talked about him a little earlier.
Well, I maintain, and I'd be interested in both yours and Bud's opinion, but I've always considered his game on October 8th of '56 as the greatest single accomplishment by anybody in any sport at any time.
Yeah, you may very well be.
Wow.
Thanks so much, Bill. Good to talk to you.
Take care, Bill.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. We're going to go back to the phones in a second. Are we ready to do that? All right, we'll take a break, then we'll go to the calls. Northeast Factory Direct, 3 great locations plus the website. You got them east, west, and of course to the south, which is the new one. That's in Macedonia. Check them out. The only thing you're going to do there is save more than half price. You get the same kind of furniture you're going to find in the big box stores, except they pay about 1/10 the rate for rent, and they pass the savings on to you. Alex has been doing it for 20 years. Started out with a small, in a garage, one piece of furniture. He found out he had a pretty good thing going when he sold it for less, and he continues to turn it over and do the same to you. 3 great locations, plus check out the website first, northeastfactory.com and northeastfactorydirect.com. 216-575-0403. Stop by Sokolowski's today. What a great amount of publicity they got, the Plain Dealer and cleveland.com. Also, the number 2 cafeteria-style restaurant in the country. I said, I wonder what number 1 is. Someplace in Texas. I don't care. It's not going to beat Sokolowski's University Inn. We'll come back in a moment. We'll check out the Facebook question of the day with your responses. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Get your garage ready for the holidays.
We had some cracks in the floor. We needed to enhance the beauty of it. That's when we called Nature Stone.
Nature Stone corrects uneven concrete, so you don't have to worry about tripping or slipping. And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your garage floor again. For a limited time, get Nature Stone installed now and pay nothing until next year. Payments as low as $99 a month. No interest, no down payment. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
When it comes to selling you a mattress, most retailers are handing you a line. A long line of extra steps that drive up costs and create confusion. At the Original Mattress Factory, we simplify the mattress shopping experience by building mattresses and box springs in our own local factories and selling them direct to you. It's short, sweet, and simply makes sense. So experience more than just a mattress store. Experience an original, the Original Mattress Factory.
Presque Isle Downs and Casino now has sports betting. Use one of the 50 state-of-the-art Bet America kiosks to place your bet. Then watch your favorite games on our new HD televisions or visit our new sportsbook area. Only at Presque Isle Downs and Casino.
So this date in Les-Levine history, Bud, January 19, what year is that, 58 maybe?
Yes, that's what you're
in
claiming
honor of
now.
Joe Namath, who hadn't signed his contract last year, Les goes into negotiations and gets his allowance of $1 per week. And he didn't like that. He started arguing with his parents till he realized that's all they made.
These are loosely based on
Not
truth.
so loose. Not so loose. All right. Should the Browns have stayed with John Dorsey? What do you think? That was our Facebook question.
Oh, that was the
day.
Facebook question?
Yeah.
I think a lot of people will say yes. It's probably not as cut and dried as that, because I'm sure they tried to say to him, yeah, here's Daniel says yes.
Yeah, Daniel says yes.
But I'm sure they said to him, listen, you can be here, but you don't get to pick the next
Right.
coach. And at that point,
No,
he
thank
did
you.
say,
Rick May says maybe for one more year. He saw that he could work in tandem with the new coach. Bad enough that Baker will be in his 4th coach in 3 years, but the Kitchens and Dorsey are both gone. Looks like Baker is losing allies in his corner. Pal Joey Frederick. Maybe the Browns should send Chubb and Mayfield and Beckham to Cincinnati, then take Burrow. Start all over. Yeah, that'll happen. Larry Pantages, who I believe is, I'll tell you that a little bit later. Larry Pantages says Haslam said Dorsey did a nice job in some aspect. He then compares the signing of Chubb, Landry, Beckham, and Mayfield to finding a $5 bill in the truck stop parking lot.
Yeah.
As Paul Brown said to the bus driver who got lost, I don't blame you, I blame the guy who hired you. Do you think he really said that?
Paul Brown?
Yeah.
You would be a better judge of that than I.
I don't know. I just think like Woody Hayes saying, because I couldn't go for 3. I don't know that that really
it's
happened.
kind of an urban legend.
Yeah, and Woody not getting gas in Michigan. Although it's carried on. My son was in Michigan last week, and he had a call to confess that he did, in fact, stop and get gas in Michigan. It happens. Let's go to the phones. Let's go to Chuck in Masonry, who we saw last week at Buffalo Wild Wings. Hello, Chuck.
Hi, guys. Hey, I told you last the offseason is more interesting than the season for the Browns. But anyway, could either of you two confirm the rumor that Mr. Haslam interrupted his interview with Mike McCarthy today to conduct his press conference?
Well, I mean, the interview with McCarthy was happening in the building. I don't know that Haslam planned on being there for all 4 hours. I know sometimes they'll rotate people in and out of those interviews.
And then talk football.
So Haslam might have been in there for planned on being in there for the first hour and a half, but then he left to have somebody else come in and maybe talk to him about the PR aspect of the job or whatever that might have been. But
and by the way,
he was only in there for 23 minutes. I mean, it may have been that they took a break upstairs and told everybody to go get some coffee and relax.
I mean, Bud and I have been to enough of these press conferences at the end of the year. This is what this is supposed to be, an end of the year wrap up. And the question is, did he walk away from the meeting, or was the press conference set up in advance? My guess is each and every club somewhere along the line has an exit interview, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I didn't read too much into that, Chuck. I didn't think it was like disrespectful of McCarthy or anything like that. I don't think everybody in the committee sits there for 5 straight hours and interviews a guy.
Well, the way it came across the news today, but it sounded like it was disrespectful. But the way you and Les explained it, it probably wasn't.
Yeah, and that's just common. That's just the way it's done.
Well, let me ask you a question about Dorsey's future. Do you think the third time now that he's parted ways with an organization, do you think this will affect his chances of getting another job, or are people look past this situation with Haslam?
Well, I think the Kitchens hire may have affected his standing in the league, because he had never hired a head coach before. This was his first head coaching hire. And, again, Andy Reid was brought in 7 to 10 days ahead of Dorsey in Kansas City. I think there will be people who will look at Dorsey if there's a GM job open and say, all right, this guy had a chance to hire a head coach and he didn't handle that opportunity very well.
Would they also think that the choosing of Baker-Mayfield #1, that probably is
that has
included?
to play out yet. I mean, a year ago, we all would have said that was a great pick, right?
Would you agree that whoever the Browns take will be not forced, but highly encouraged to run with Baker-Mayfield?
Whoever they hire as a head coach, absolutely, yeah. I don't think they bring in. I think they're still committed to Baker-Mayfield and believe that he can still be a really effective, quarterback in this league, if not an all-pro quarterback. So I would think that whoever If you walk in that room for an interview and you say, "This is not my idea of a quarterback," I don't think you're getting hired in this town.
Anything else, Chuck?
Yeah, a couple more things. I've heard that Kevin Stefanski, that some of his luster is lost because they brought in Gary Kubiak this year to oversee the offense. So I think if Dorsey was still here, he probably wouldn't maybe not even get an interview. But since DePodesta is here, he might be, online again, even though he has lost some of his luster.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting.
You said it was Dorsey. I think you meant.
No, he said that Dorsey probably would not have interviewed Stefanski because of that.
Yeah.
I think that's a good point. I do know that Kubiak came in and sort of has this consultant or overseer role.
One more, Chuck. What do you got?
Last thing is the Twins signed Hill and Homer Bailey over the weekend, and the Indians still haven't spent all that Cleveland money yet. Is that ever going to happen?
Yeah, we talked about that.
I don't know that answer.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if they don't. I expect them to spend some money, but the way it's looking, there's not going to be much out there. All right, Chuck, great to see you.
All right, guys.
All right, good to talk to you.
Thanks.
216-575-0403 is the number to call. If you want to call us and we're not on the air at the time, and we do the show live Monday through Friday, and that is from 6 until 7 p.m. Eastern Time. But if you can't catch us then, catch us on the voicemail of Truth and Reason. You see the number right there. Leave us a message, 216-200-6650 is the number to call, and we'll use it on a future show. We'll take a break. We're coming back one more time. Bud Shaw with us. I'm on 92.3 The Fan tomorrow from 10 until 2, along with Andy Baskin in for Jeff Phelps. More Sports and Les-Levine continues exclusively on cleveland.com.
Get your basement ready for the holidays.
We had a horrible storm that flooded our basement.
We had to take out that nasty moldy carpet.
And we never want to have to go through that again. That's when we called Nature Stone.
And with Russell's Promise, our true unconditional warranty, you will never have to replace your basement flooring again. For a limited time, get Nature Stone installed now and pay nothing until next year. Payments as low as $99 a month. No interest, no down payment. Schedule your free cost estimate easily online today. It's not just a floor. Wow, it's Nature Stone.
There are tastes we remember. Every smell brings the happiness of times gone by. Experience this every time you walk into Gallucci's Italian Foods. Whether you need lunch on the go, a catered party, or that perfect blend of wine, meats, and cheeses, Gallucci's has exactly what you're looking for. Straight from Mama's Kitchen for old world traditions or original experiences. From the tastes you remember to new flavors you'll never forget, Gallucci's is a tasty branch of your family tree.
The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education program recognizes role model students and teachers from across Ohio. Nominations can now be done completely online. To nominate a deserving teacher or student, go to ohiolottery.com. In the About section, find Partners in Education. There you will find links to the nomination forms. Students, kindergarten through 12th grade, can be academic all-stars. Teachers can be honored as a Teacher of the Month. The Ohio Lottery Partners in Education, where stars shine.
Welcome back. More Sports and Les-Levine, exclusively on cleveland.com. Going through some of these emails, Bud. People are scraping the bottom of the barrel. They're also scraping to the heights. They're getting up there. By the way, speaking of the heights, Terry Pluto's book is out about the Coliseum and the Cleveland Arena, and he's talking about how the Cavs got named. It was a newspaper contest.
Pluto wrote a book?
Yeah, he had 10 extra minutes.
Is that his first one?
No, it's first one this week. So they had a newspaper contest to name the team. And I sent mine in. Now, I was a young lad at the time.
How old were you?
1970, 20-something.
Okay.
Maybe.
That's also loosely based on truth.
I took all things into consideration, the pun aspect, which you don't like.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
The geography.
Okay.
Okay. So I named it the Cleveland Heights, H-I-T-E-S. You got Cleveland Heights, a suburb, right? Mm-hmm. Heights, high. The pun aspect of it, and I can't believe that's the only one named Heights that was chosen. That was in the big barrel.
Wow. You're a visionary.
I wonder if they want that name now. I'm open for business. How come Quickies? Ready for them?
I don't really have any. Let's see. I don't have a.
You don't have one of these?
Yeah, I really am not. I guess so. The answer would be no. I'm not ready for them.
Write them on your wrist.
But yeah, can't you guys afford any blank paper? Oh, here's paper.
Yeah, except for one thing. I think I need the other side.
You need that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Actually, I do. Or else we can't do Monday.
I'm just gonna. I'll just voice my.
There you go. Mitch from Kent, who we also met the other day. It was a great turnout by fans the other day. Hi, Mitch. Hi, Les. It's Mitch from Kent. Quickly, the Haslam's Mac and D menu, like Big Mac McCarthy, Josh Mac Jr., McDaniel. As a public service, there's a coaching move. Always change your smoke detector. Batteries 3.
If you always change your smoke alarm batteries when the Browns make a coaching change, you'll be safe and sound in your house. But that, sir, is not a quickie.
Read the last sentence and a half.
Yeah, if there's a Browns coaching move, always change your smoke detector batteries. We came from whoop to hell to whoop to DePodesta.
That's
Happy
what
New
I
Year.
couldn't read. A how come quickie lament from Cleveland Bill. How come 28 NFL teams, but not the Browns, have been able to scratch their Super Bowl itch?
Yeah. That's
John Patrick.
That's painful, but.
How come I bet on a horse at 10-1, but it didn't finish until 2:30? It was a slow horse.
Yeah. See, I saw that one coming.
Mr. Gullible.
So I'm going to give
We
it
also
an
met
8.
Mr. Gullible. I've met him before.
I did meet Mr. Gullible.
How come when I made a graph of my past relationships, it had an X-axis and a Y-axis? How come every time the Browns fire a coach, time to change your furnace filter? Little difference.
Yeah, but do you really change your furnace filter once a year?
No,
I think
but
you do
I
it
shaved.
more often. Okay.
I shaved. Whenever the
So-
Browns fire coaches, I shave.
I'm not as high on those so far. Go
Marty
ahead.
in Strongsville. Les and Bud. Haslam is in Bedlam. Coach and GM reports to the owner. When has that ever failed? It's possible that Haslam. It's possible for him to learn from his mistakes, but have a fistful of rings by now. Nothing ever will change until we get another owner. Love you guys, Marty in Strongsville.
I would agree with that, by the way. I would agree with
This
that.
could be the longest distance quickie we've had in a long time. From Dave in Austin, Texas.
Huh.
Les and Bud, do you guys know to what degree Jimmy and Dee actually followed football before buying the Browns? I know they collected a check from the Steelers for a while. No, the Steelers collected a check from them. But it seems like they don't know the game at all.
Well,
what do you know?
He was a
big
huge
booster of
University of Tennessee football guy. So, yeah, as far as the NFL, I don't know, but certainly college football, they've been very involved as fans and very attentive.
This is from a Cleveland Bill. How come when the Browns hire a coach, they always omit the first stage that goes before it and the out of town that follows it? The stage is leaving town. I believe that's the reference.
Yeah, they're called quickies, though, sir.
All right, this is from Big Ed, and I think you're going to like the second one, although it's politically incorrect.
Okay, then maybe I won't like it. Go ahead.
All right, here's the first one, which comes before the second one. How come when I asked my son the difference between ignorance and apathy, he said, I don't know and I don't care? That's old.
Yeah, I've heard that one before, but I do like it.
Okay, I'm going on record as saying this is a little politically incorrect, but I'm not taking blame or credit for it. I'm going to put all of the blame on Big Ed.
Okay.
And then then if I read it and it gets a bad response, I'll just blame it on Brian in the back room.
Okay.
I mean, he brought him out to me. How come when my sister-in-law told my brother to go out and get herself something that makes her look sexy, he got drunk? I knew that was wrong. Do I need a public apology for that? What do you give it? 4.0.
Only because my wife watches this show, and I know if I give it a high grade, I'll be in trouble.
You're a high grade.
I'm high grade. I'm a low grade.
All right, I'd like to just say I didn't mean, I should have read it before and I didn't. Did I get out of it?
I don't think so.
Are we done?
I think we're close to being done.
See, here's the problem. I've had a sty in my eye. I don't know if it's noon or 3 o'clock.
Well, see, then you're off the hook by reading what you read, because you didn't really.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know. I have a sty in both eyes.
You didn't really know.
That's it. You had to take over the tag team.
Now, if only Jimmy Haslam had trotted out an excuse like that. You know, I've had this. I haven't been able to see real clearly, and when I pointed John Dorsey to the door, I didn't know it was an exit sign.
All right, in case you think I'm lying, let me see if I can see the lights over there. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, big news for us, you and me.
What's that?
Couple of weeks. Curb Your Enthusiasm.
I know, one of my favorites. I thought you were going to tell me that we had a lucrative speaking engagement somewhere.
You or me, or both of us?
Both of us, I was hoping, but.
Well, whatever. All right, that'll do it for us. Thanks to Bud Shaw. He'll be back next Tuesday, is that correct?
Yes.
You don't have to read any of this
Doug
for me.
Maurice is on here talking about why he thinks this was a good move, because it gets them closer to the model they had when he supported them.
And
the
thought
Paul
they'd go 14-2.
Sashi Brown, Andrew Berry model. That's why he thinks this is a good move. I'm putting words in his mouth.
Thanks to Bud Shaw. Thanks to our great crew behind the scenes. I'll see you tomorrow. No, I'll be on radio. Here's a how come quickie. How come you can make an appearance on radio?
Yeah.
That was the best of the night. Of all the shows I've ever done,
It was a week back.
This was the most recent.